Yo, what's going on, everyone? Just making a quick video. I've had some people ask me how I got started with my welding business and kind of what my welding setup looks like, specifically my mobile welding setup. So we're gonna go over it. I'm gonna give you guys some tips and tricks for starting your own business or doing some mobile welding. So let's get into it. All right, I got some notes here. Let's go over some of the stuff that I wrote down for you guys. So the number one thing that I would recommend is if you do plan on doing this as a business, whether it's on the side or your full-time job, I would 100% recommend getting registered as an LLC. That way, if something happens, people can't technically sue you. They can sue your business, but not you. And that way you just you're doing everything right. You're not able to get into any kind of legal trouble with taxes or anything, right? So do that first. Get registered, as a business, and then, of course, business at first is not going to be the best, right? You're just starting, so I would recommend starting as a side job, right? So hold on to your full-time job. Do some welding projects on the weekends, on your evenings, and to advertise, you can actually just advertise on Facebook Marketplace. You can advertise on Craigslist. Get some business cards made. I know I paid about like 30-40 bucks for 500 business cards. I've been in business for over a year and a half now, and I actually just ran out of the first batch of business cards that I ever had. So 500 cards for 30-40 bucks, well worth it. Even if you only pass out 100 and then you stop doing it, whatever, it's only 30-40 bucks, you'll make that back in a few hours of work. What else? If you're just starting, I would recommend just targeting repairs at first. A lot of times it's just way easier, right? You don't have to do a lot of work. Sometimes you can actually make a little bit more money just doing repairs and big custom jobs, just because you're able to get more in and out quick, right? So sometimes repairs can be really good, but I do recommend starting just doing repairs, just so you can also kind of get your name out first. You can get some pictures of repairs that you're doing and stuff like that, and then once you're pretty comfortable with how to keep track of your timing and how much it's costing you to run the business and all that, then start doing some smaller custom fabrication jobs. And then once you continue to gain more experience, then move over to big custom jobs. Always be honest. Always try to be as honest as possible. Yeah, just honest and straightforward. Always give yourself a little bit of extra room when you're bidding a job, when you're quoting a job. So if you think that you might take 3-4 hours, realistically say that you might take 5 or 6 hours, right? And then always bid with give yourself, so if you're bidding on a 6-hour project, or that you realistically think is going to take you 6 hours, and maybe tell the customer that it might take you 5 to 7 hours, right? And then just tell them that it varies on how long it takes. So if it takes you a little longer, then of course you'll charge them a little less. But then if it takes you longer, then you're not getting underpaid, right? And then what else? Another thing is, you can really just get started with, let's say you already do it as a hobby and you want to make a few extra bucks, but you're like, oh, I don't have a shop, or oh, I don't have I don't have the fanciest tools. Still to this date, most of my tools, like specifically angle grinders and sanding disc and all the consumables, are from Harbor Freight. Like, I have like 15 angle grinders from Harbor Freight, and one little trick that I do is get the same one, so get multiple of the same one, get warranty under one, and then since they're all the same, if any of them break down or just stop working on you, you can take it in and they'll just warranty it for you, because thankfully you paid for the warranty on one of them, but since they're all the same, right, they don't know that. What else? And sorry that I'm jumping kind of like all over. I'm trying to keep track of, I'm trying to follow the notes, but then I get some stuff back in my head and I just have to tell you guys. The only reason why it's pretty easy to just target repairs is because you can do those mobile, right? So when I first started, I was mostly just targeting repairs on trailers. And then that way, I don't have to bring a project or repair to my house because I did start in my 2-car garage, right? So mobile repairs, it just saves you the hassle of, you know, potentially getting in some kind of trouble by having people go to your house. That way you can just go to them, take care of the repair, and get it done, make your money, and you're done. And then you're also able to make more money being mobile, so it's a 2-for-1. What else? So let's go over these. So start as a side job, then, you know, get some business cards made, market on Marketplace or ads on Marketplace and Craigslist. Target repairs at first, then move over to custom jobs. Remember to always be honest. Always give yourself a little bit of extra room and, you know, how long you believe it's gonna take you. You're able to start with business cards. Not business cards. You're able to start with cheap tools. You don't need anything too fancy. And then what else? That's pretty much it. If you guys want me to break down some stuff, you know, how I charge and all that, let me know. I can make another video. Now let's go over my welding setup, or like my mobile welding setup. Alright, so here's pretty much all of my mobile welding setup. We got a Predator 9000 max starting watt generator. That's just the Harbor Freight generator. Right there. We have a little titanium MIG welder. It's a 40 amp MIG welder. Also from Harbor Freight, nothing fancy. Like I said, you're able to get away with, you know, cheap tools to start with, and nowadays I don't do very much mobile welding, so, you know, I'm just gonna continue to use this setup. And then here is where I keep all of my tools. And I decided to use a box like this just because it's easier to, you know, load onto the truck and, you know, take out of the truck, so I can still use my truck as a, you know, with a bed. I keep two 25-foot extensions. There's one. My welding jacket. Some clamps. And these don't fit in those boxes, so that's why I just keep them in here. I try to label everything: wrenches, markers, square, measuring tape. Some extra discs. Some racks and gloves. Some magnets. I keep a moving blanket in here just because I can use it to, you know, either, you know, I can open it up and lay on the ground, and it keeps me from getting all dirty, or if I'm welding somewhere and I don't want the sparks, you know, hitting whatever, can use those to cover it up. Little bag that I use to you know, load some tools in here if I'm gonna be, let's say I'm in the backyard of a house and the truck is in the driveway. I can just load the tools there and just, you know, just haul them out to the back. Another extension. I keep a angle grinder with a wire wheel, one with a hard disc, sanding disc, and cutting wheel. These angle grinders are literally like 15 bucks. So right there's just 60 bucks in angle grinders. It's definitely worth it, because then you don't have to, if you just had one, you would have to switch this every time that you want to do, you want to cut or grind or whatever. Little Harbor Freight socket kit with the ratchet, and gets the job done just fine. One of the most important ones, one of my 2 fire extinguishers. This is a small one. I keep a big one in the truck. And then what else do we have in here? Some magnets. Just 2 in there, or 3. I throw these in there. A few more clamps in there. And these little boxes are great. They're like $5 a piece at Walmart, I believe. What do we have in here? Some levels and brushes, I think. Yep, some brushes. This Scotch Brite pad. I do recommend getting a small level and a big level. It's nice. What else? Let's see. The rags, I already showed you guys that. The wrenches. This has to go in here. This as well. One other thing that I tried to always keep in here, but I actually pulled out of the box the other day because I needed an extra one here in the shop, is one of these 3-ways. Just because they're nice, because you can run 1 extension cord and have 3 angle grinders plugged in. So I'm actually gonna throw it back in here because I don't need it anymore. Throw it back in here. I'm currently running the welder and with flux with a big 11-pound spool or whatever. I always try to ask the customer. I always try to see what the project is before I go out and do it. And depending what the project is, I sometimes do switch back to MIG, and I have a small tank that I use for the MIG welding. It just depends on what the project is. If it's something that I would prefer for it to be really clean, I switch over to MIG. If it's just some dirty work, just leave it in flux. That little welder, it's been pretty good. Like I said, just a little Harbor Freight welder, just a MIG welder, like 300 bucks or so. It's plenty for most stuff, as long as you're not doing like anything structural. See, the generator is a 9,000 watt. It's got a total of 4 120 volt outlets with 20 amps. It does run a 240 volt, or it can run a 240 volt welder, which if I'm doing something really or if I'm welding something really thick, I do grab my 180 welder. Just a little Lincoln 180, nothing too fancy either, but this one's like $1,000 or so. I have used my big TIG welder on, from the generator as well, and it does just fine. The only thing is that since the generator is kind of meant for RVs and stuff like that, it's got this weird outlet. So I bought a extension cord that's for RVs, and then I had to buy an adapter on Amazon that connects, that goes from that RV plug to just a regular 240. And yeah, it's been fine. Oh, another thing is cones. I recommend getting some cones. They're actually pretty expensive. Each cone is like 20 to 25 bucks, and they're just small cones. So just right there, it's $100 worth of cones. It's nice to be able to kind of block off the area where you're working, just so you don't have people walking over your extension cords, or if you have to run an extension cord, over or past a sidewalk, you can throw the cone on the extension cord just to keep, just to prevent people from tripping on your stuff and all that, or to keep people away from your stuff. I would say this whole setup right here, it's probably like $1,500. I think the generator was like $900. The welder's like $300, so we have $1,200 right there. Maybe $200 worth of tools or so, and then that. So I think realistically, you can start your own welding business with $1,500, and that's if you're starting from like scratch, like you don't have any tools at all. I think $1,500 will get you going, and that could even include getting registered under or as a business. I did everything myself. Like I got everything registered. I registered myself as a business all by myself. I just watched some YouTube videos and read a little bit on Google. But if you want to pay someone, they charge you like $200 to get everything done for you, and then the paperwork that you need from the government is like $60, I think. So realistically, you can get everything done for under $1,500. I bought all this brand new. You can always save some money if you buy used. The only reason why I didn't want to buy used or I didn't want to buy like a used generator and like a welder, it's because you don't know if they've been taken care of. Then that way also, these, even if you don't buy the warranty for them, they come with like 3-month warranty. So you have a little bit of peace of mind that it's gonna last you at the very least 3 months. But the generator, I've had it for a year and a half now, and not a single issue. And to be honest, I've never even changed the oil on it, and I leave it out in the snow as well, in the back of the truck for like 2-3 weeks. It gets rained on, snowed on, covered in dust. Never changed the oil. I've never checked the air filter, which is bad, but whatever. What else? Yeah, so I mean, realistically, like I said, you can start your own welding business for, I would say $1,000 to $1,500. If you are okay with, getting some used tools, or if you already have some tools, give it a shot. Worst that can happen is that it doesn't take off, or you don't enjoy it, or whatever. But there is a need for welders, I know, all over the country. So give it a shot if it's something that you're interested in. Like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram or just a comment. I'll leave the link to my Instagrams in the descriptions.